Hi zoology, and welcome to this kind of like tutorial for how to use this amazing database known as the IUCN Red List. So the IUCN stands for the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and it is a really important organization. There's lots of other groups that work with it, and they're able to provide lots of really factual and up-to-date information about all sorts of animals. And this is one of the sources that we're going to use for this kind of like research project that you're about to embark on. So you're being asked to do research on an animal that, according to the IUCN, is considered threatened. Now, if an animal is threatened, that means it falls into one of three categories. It is either vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered. Remember, you don't want to search up an animal that's like already extinct in the wild because there are no conservation efforts. There's no way for us to protect something that's already gone. Likewise, if you're taking a look at an animal that's of least concern, for example, we're not really worried about rock pigeons, the city pigeons that you see in New York City. There's tons of them. There's not going to be any conservation issues for them because there's no need to have any conservations for them, at least not yet. So let's use this website, and we're going to show you how to use the search filter so that you're going to be able to use this to your advantage. So I'm going to go to the IUCN Red List page. And again, if you were to look for something to buy on Amazon, let's say you needed to buy a pair of boots and you just kind of start searching through things on Amazon, you're going to get so many things. It's easy to get bogged down. It's easy to get lost in all of your results. So you usually put in filters to say, hey, these are kind of specifically what I'm looking for. And then you're able to browse around from a much smaller selection. So likewise, we have search filters over here on the IUCN to help us do that. So over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on taxonomy first because I want to look up an animal. This is a zoology class, so you don't want to look up plants, fungi, or anything else. So right off the bat, it's really going to be able to help me narrow down my search. But there's still thousands of animals that I can search for. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the red list category, and I'm going to make sure to hit one of those three categories. So here we go. I'm looking for an animal that is vulnerable, endangered, or that is critically endangered. And then you have a whole bunch of other ways that you can narrow down your search. So if you want to do a specific country, if you want to do a specific threat, you're able to narrow it down like that. The last thing I'm really going to purposefully show you is the habitat, because remember, we're in Zoo 2 right now, which means we're dealing with terrestrial animals. You don't want to do an animal that lives in the ocean because that would have been a great subject for Zoo 1, but for Zoo 2, we want to deal with land-based animals. So here, if you look down here, you're going to see marine oceanic, marine coastal, and obviously a terrestrial animal wouldn't live there. So you want to click on these land-based ones. Now, you might be really open and say, hey, any land-based one, so forest or savanna or shrubland or whatever. Or you might be really specific. You might say, hey, I'm really interested in learning about these animals in the savanna. And it's really going to help to narrow down your search because now you're telling this database that you're looking for an animal that's in one of those categories that lives in this particular habitat. And so it narrows it down for you. So now you're going to be able to go through this, and these would be all of them are going to be appropriate animals for you to be able to choose to do your research on. So this is one way to use the red list. A second way is, let's say you just really know what animal you want to look at. So for example, one of my favorite animals are called clouded leopards. So I'm just going to look for that animal. And it'll be able to bring me to this site. And when I type in clouded leopard, it actually brings me to 2. So I'm going to click on this one. And this is what you'll see once you select an animal. So whether you do the search to be able to browse through them or whether you kind of already have one in mind, you're going to be able to search this online database. So here it gives you the citation right off the bat from all the information that you get here. Here I'm looking at the IUCN Red List category. It is categorized as threatened, which does, vulnerable, which does fall into that threatened category. So yes, this is a good animal that I can do my research on. And when I scroll down here, it gives me tons of information. I can see the geographic range. When I go down here, it gives me information about its habitat. It gives me information about conservation issues. And notice that each one of these are links. So for example, yes, it lives in a forest shrubland. When I click on that, it's going to be able to give me a little bit more information about that. I can look that the population is decreasing. And when I click on this, it's going to give me more information about the specific numbers and about the fluctuations that they've seen. For example, all individuals in one subpopulation Maybe this one isn't the greatest example, but they'll show you all sorts of different things. Up here along the top, you can click on habitat and ecology. You can click on threats. You can click on expand on all, and then you'll really be able to see here and appreciate how much information is really included in this. So this is a fantastic place for you to be able to get lots of information to act as like a springboard for you to start this project. Now, this is one of the required sources for you to use for this. And again, it offers tons of information, but there are other great resources out there as well. You can use things like National Geographic. You can use things like Archive. As long as you use a good, reputable, and credible source, you can use anything you want, but just make sure that you use the red list as well. Happy hunting!